Hello guys, welcome to Hook with Anime. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Prologue. The past of future Gohan, they're here, run. Several people screamed. But it was too late. Before they had time to turn away, they were obliterated in a massive explosion.
Hey, I got 14, what about you? Said a young woman with short blonde hair and blue eyes, laughing with a man next to her, with near shoulder length black hair and the same eyes. I think about. He paused and counted the number of charred bodies. 16. Did not, you liar. The woman scoffed. Did too. See. The boy pointed to two civilians who were somehow not killed in the blast, and a thin yellow beam shot from his finger, destroying them completely. They both laughed as though they were playing a fun little game. But then to these people, this was all it really was. 10 years ago, these sinister androids were set loose upon the unsuspecting world to terrorize all humanity. Though the Z Fighters, a powerful team of super warriors, had tried to stop these two nefarious androids, they were too powerful for even their incredible might. Now, 10 years after the androids were first set loose on the world, the only one standing between them and humankind's extinction is one young man, the son of Son Goku, the strongest member of the Z Fighters, Son Gohan. This has gone far enough. The two androids turned around to see a man with short spiky black hair and an orange fighting GI. He was striding down the road at them with a look of pure hatred. The androids simply laughed. I was wondering when Gohan show up, said the boy. It just wouldn't be fun without him around. Gohan's stride broke into a run and he aimed a punch straight at the boy's face. His hair suddenly stood on end, turning gold, and his eyes became a light green. His fist collided with the boy's face and he was knocked back into a car several feet behind. He smirked. Not bad, he chuckled, picking the car up off the ground with a single hand. But not good either. He threw the car at Gohan, who caught it, spun it around about 3 times, and threw it right back. The woman joined in, kicking Gohan in the gut, then hammer-fisting the back of his head straight into the ground. The boy advanced, smashing the car right on top of him. The car exploded in a flash of golden light as Gohan charged at the woman, and she gave a shove on his left shoulder, flipping him around. She and the boy simultaneously punched Gohan in the head. Gohan collapsed from the pain, and the androids proceeded to continuously kick him as he lay on the ground. Enough of that. They turned to see a young teenage boy coming their way. He had light purple hair in a bowl cut and a very serious look on his face. Trunks, what are you doing? Get out of here, you don't know what you're doing. Gohan yelled. I can't take this anymore. If I don't do something, who will? Trunks said defiantly. He shot a beam of energy from his hand at the androids, who batted it away lazily, and laughed. You know something, 17. I think the kid actually means business, said the woman coolly. He's either really brave or really stupid if he actually thinks he stands a chance against us. I say we should put this brat in his place. What do you think, 18? Sneered 17. Sounds like fun, said 18. They both dashed at Trunks, who was soon hit with a relentless barrage of kicks, punches, and blasts until, finally too bruised and hurt to stand, he fainted. That was disappointing. 18 sighed. You know, I think I'd like some new clothes. What about you? Please, I like my clothes, thank you very much, said 17. I'm not interested in girly stuff like clothes shopping. I'd drive you if y'all want though. He tore a car door open, threw the people who were hiding in it out on the street, and offered 18 inside. No thanks, I'm not a big fan of your driving, 18 sighed. You okay, Trunks, or should I be making dinner for only one from now on? Trunks' mother Bulma asked 2 days later when Gohan and Trunks regained consciousness. I'm sorry, Mom, I was just passing through and I was caught up in the mess. Trunks muttered. Just don't let it happen again. Bulma said desperately. I was hurting when I lost Vegeta, I can't stand to lose you too. She started to tear up. Don't worry about it, Bulma, said Gohan. He wasn't hurt this time, but I do think that you need to think about our situation, Trunks. Trunks gave a guilty look. He knew that the androids were the most powerful beings on Earth. He knew that charging in like a bull was just reckless, but he felt like he needed to do something to fight back. Look, I'm sorry, said Trunks, frustrated. I just need to do something. I'd rather die on my feet than helplessly at home, and I can't stand how many innocent lives are being lost. Gohan, can you train me? Bulma opened her mouth, ready to heavily object to this statement, but Gohan raised a hand to her and replied. Okay, Trunks, just promise me that from now on, you'll do as I say, no matter what. Promise. Trunks nodded, and in the following months, Gohan trained Trunks in the mountains on the outskirts of the city. Okay, Trunks, that's enough. Gohan said one day. He had been trying to teach Trunks how to attain the power of the Super Saiyan, a vastly powerful transformation known by the alien warrior race they were descended from. I don't understand, Gohan. How is it that you can just transform like that so easily? He asked. It isn't quite that simple, Trunks. Gohan told him. Though it does take a great deal of anger to become a Super Saiyan, it take a bit more than that. I don't really know how to explain it, but every time I transform, I remember of when I had to witness all of my friends fight and die and how helpless I was. It doesn't just take rage. It takes the absolute need to harness the power and the concentration to control it. I still don't quite understand, said Trunks uncertainly. Gohan placed a hand on Trunks' shoulder. Don't worry about it, you'll see one of these days. Trunks flinched as a massive explosion erupted somewhere in the city. Damn, don't they know when to quit? Gohan grunted. Let's go, Trunks. But what can we do? Asked Trunks, unable to catch up with Gohan, who was flying so fast that Trunks couldn't even hope to get within 50 feet of him. The androids had blasted a crater in the city that had spread about 2 miles wide. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. Gohan roared as he landed, smashing a prominent hole where he landed. He was already in Super Saiyan and his light green eyes glared into the matching blue eyes of the androids, who smirked amusedly at him. Trunks landed next to Gohan, panting slightly. Be very careful, Trunks. Gohan said to Trunks under his breath. If things get too nasty, I want you to get out of here immediately. Got that? Trunks gave a slight nod. Looks like he brought a friend with him this time, 18 teased. How cute, said 17. The kid thinks he can fight us. Trunks, angered by the android's taunts, lashed out at 17. Trunks, no, Gohan yelled, but too late. 18 grabbed Trunks by the collar and yanked him back. 17 fired an energy beam at him, but Gohan ran forward and deflected it with his hand. He turned around and chopped 18's arm away, releasing Trunks, who punched her in the left cheek. Didn't your mommy ever tell you it's bad to hit a girl? She taunted. She punched him square in the chest, tripped him, then while he was still in midair, kicked him several feet, where 17 caught him and threw him into the ground. Damn you, Gohan roared. Masenko, and a gold jet of energy shot from his hands, hitting 17 head-on. Knowing 17 was distracted, Gohan charged straight at 18, his left index and middle fingers outstretched. With his free hand, he brushed 18's punch away and caught her around the neck in the crook of his elbow. He rammed her into the side of a nearby building, tearing it down in the process. 17 kicked him in the back and 18 made to shoot at his head, but Gohan was ready for this. Letting himself fall forward, he effortlessly dodged her blast, whirled around and pointed straight at 17 with 2 of his left fingers. Makenko Sapo. 2 thin beams shot from his fingertips, one straight, the other spiraling around the first. The blast impaled 17 through his right shoulder, causing him to stagger where he stood, a large gaping hole where the blast hit him. Gohan smiled, relieved that the attack worked the way it should have. Hey, there's something I want to know. He called tauntingly. Is that blood or oil? You're not going to get away with that, 18 said coolly. Gohan leapt into the air, 18 following. They exchanged attack after attack in the sky, but it seemed clear to 18 that Gohan had the advantage. Not so cocky now that your friend's not here to back you up, are you? He was right, and 18 knew it. Gohan broke through 18's defenses and sent her hurtling back to the ground. He soon followed, and seeing both androids weaken and hurt, he held both hands to one side, building up energy. Kame, Hame, he shouted as a bright blue sphere of energy built up in his hands. He then thrust them in front of himself. He stopped abruptly, the blue ball of energy fading. Go ahead, finish us off. 17 smirked, a bruised, beaten and unconscious Trunks held by the scruff of his neck in front of him. That is, if you have the guts to do away with your little buddy. Gohan gritted his teeth, furious. That's a dirty move, you cowardly son of a bitch. He snarled. Who cares? 18 sneered. So long as it works. This was exactly what Gohan was hoping to avoid. He wanted Trunks to be safe, to be able to run away if things got this nasty, but no matter what plans came into Gohan's mind, the androids would, kill Trunks in a heartbeat. Here, take him. 18 groaned, annoyed. She snatched Trunks from 17's outstretched hand and threw him over to Gohan. Gohan caught him and looked at 18 bewildered. Then all of a sudden, 17 lashed out and in a fierce swipe, severed Gohan's left arm. The pain was so tremendous that Gohan normally would have cried out loudly, but because of pure shock, he didn't make a sound. He just stared at the place where his left arm used to be, his eyes very wide, his mouth agape as though screaming, but no sound came out. His ears rang loudly and his vision was somewhat blurred as he watched his severed arm fall to the ground. It should have taken seconds, but to him it seemed like hours, and without even knowing it, he fainted. Wah, what, where, am I? Gohan opened his eyes slowly, his vision still a bit blurry. The light hurt his eyes and he abruptly shut them tightly. You okay, Gohan? He didn't see who it was, but her voice was familiar. Bulma, where am I? Gohan asked hoarsely. You're at my place, said Bulma. Ah, not so loud, Gohan whispered, clutching a hand tightly to his head. It felt like it was going to split open at the slightest sound. Sorry, she said softly. You're really lucky I found you when I did. Otherwise you would have died a blood loss. How's Trunks? Gohan asked after a while. Is he okay? He couldn't see her right now, but he knew by the sound of her voice that Bulma was about to cry. Sorry, Gohan, I'm so sorry. He's, Gohan, who finally opened his eyes, which were currently adjusting to the light, tried to extend a comforting hand to Bulma, but he couldn't feel it. He sat up and looked to his left. Where there should have been an arm, there was nothing. Just a bunch of reddened bandaging where a shoulder should have been. I shouldn't have brought him along. Gohan muttered, infuriated with himself. I knew the risks. I knew what could have happened, but I let him come with me and I let him die. It's all my fault, and now there's no way to stop the Ant. Smack. Pull yourself together, Gohan. Bulma screamed, tears streaming down her face. Even in the face of the worst possible danger, your dad never broke down like this, and I have a hard time believing his son would break so easily. Gohan rubbed the place where she had punched him, the right side of his face shone bright red. Sorry about that, he mumbled. Don't sweat it, said Bulma kindly. Just remember that if you ever lose it, I'll always be here to punch some sense into you. I'd like that, Gohan smiled. So, how's your little project going along? For that last 10 or so years, Bulma had been trying to construct a device capable of time travel, though no one had ever taken her seriously. Pretty good. It should be up and ready to go in a few days, said Bulma brightly. You should take a Senzu bean, she added to Gohan, who had tried to get out of bed, only to a badly aching body. Can't, Gohan grunted. Why not? How many do you have left now? Just like my arms, only one left, Gohan said gloomily. Because of the android's attack, the plant that grew the Senzu bean, a magical bean that can heal any wound, died out, and Gohan had kept a small bag of the last Senzus in existence, saving them only for the most dire of emergencies. Then what better time to take it than right now? Bulma insisted. No, it should go to Trunks, Gohan stated. That's noble and all, Gohan, but in case you've forgotten, he's dead. I know, Gohan interrupted, but it wouldn't be right to waste the last Senzu in existence on myself. It should have gone to Trunks, but now that he's dead, nobody gets it. Don't be stupid, Gohan. If you ate it, you could regenerate your arm, Bulma insisted exasperatedly. You think I don't know that? I'm not going to regrow my arm because this, he indicated the place his left arm should have been. It's a symbol of my failure, and it would be an insult to Trunks' memory to get my arm back just for my own comfort. Bulma was ready to hit Gohan again, but lowered her hand in surprise at this statement. That is deep, she said simply. Really deep. You really are just like your father, you know that. Gohan grinned weakly. It was about 3 months before Gohan was finally healed enough to be able to get up and move the way he used to. Bulma had offered to make him a prosthetic arm, but he turned it down without a second thought. By the time he was back up and running, Bulma's time machine was completed. Well, this is it, said Gohan. He had packed up everything he thought he would need for his trip and was bidding his remaining friends and family goodbye. Be very careful, Gohan. Please just come back. Just come back alive, his mother cried tearfully. Good luck, kiddo, said Bulma, patting his remaining shoulder comfortingly. And if you see Trunks, let him know his mommy loves him. Gohan nodded. I will. And I'll come back, I promise. He climbed into the time machine, gave a final wave goodbye, and in a bright flash, he had gone. Don't worry, Trunks. I'll make sure that none of this ever happens. Not again. 55 Chapter 2. A warning from a mysterious stranger. That's right, I've decided to go ahead and continue this story, however I still would greatly appreciate a review. I like to get a bit of feedback. And for those of you who want future Gohan to have his arm back, it's gonna be a while, but it will happen, just please don't nag. Well, all that's said and done, enjoy. It was an ordinary day for Gohan, working on his homework, reading his textbooks, waiting for the day his father would come back. He had been waiting anxiously for about 2 years and every day felt powerfully disappointed every time the front door opened, hoping to see his father, only to find it was his mom bringing in the dried-out laundry. All of a sudden, he felt not just one, but several powerful energies. The phone rang, which Gohan promptly answered. Hey Gohan, did you sense that just now? It was Krillin, one of Gohan's good friends. Yeah, you think one of them might be Dad? I don't think so, but it's possible, said Krillin. We need to go check it out. I'll meet you there. Gohan hung up the phone, changed quickly into the Saiyan armor Vegeta had given him in their last major battle, and headed out the door. Gohan, where are you going dressed like that? Chi-Chi asked. Gohan halted abruptly. To go see Dad, he answered cheerfully. He ran out the door and took off, leaving Chi-Chi confused. Gohan rocketed towards the place the energies were coming from. Gohan, you sensed it too. It was Piccolo, Gohan's favorite mentor. Yeah, I think one of them might be Dad, said Gohan excitedly. Don't get your hope up too much, kid, said Piccolo. I sense a more dark presence, and Sun's energy has never felt quite this sinister. They landed in a canyon several minutes later, where Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, Chiaotzu, even Bulma and Vegeta were already waiting. HMPH. I was hoping to see Kakarot, but there's nothing here. Vegeta scoffed irritably. Wait, look. Krillin pointed up in the sky. A massive thing that appeared to be a UFO landed in the canyon several yards away. I don't think that's Goku. Yamcha muttered. No, it's one of Frieza's ships, said Vegeta, frowning more than usual. So this is Earth. HM. How quaint, came a metallic voice. Out from the UFO came several foot soldiers and a short alien who was covered from head to foot with cybernetic replacements and implants. Now, slaughter all the inhabitants of the pathetic world, Frieza ordered to his men. I don't think so. Surprised, everyone looked around for the source of the voice. On the top of a cliff side there stood a man with spiky black hair who wore an orange GI. He jumped down from the cliff and landed softly in front of Frieza. Hey, it's him, Yamcha called brightly. It's Goku. What happened to him though? Gohan wondered. Look at all those scars. And what happened to his arm? Everyone gasped. Sure enough, where his left arm should have been, there was only an empty blue sleeve. Frieza gave the man before him a look of fright, which he tried to make seem like one of contempt, though not very well. Well, if it isn't Son Goku. I almost didn't recognize you, he said coolly. You must have me confused with someone else, said the man. Frieza seemed taken aback. And this is as far as you go, Frieza. You may have survived the fight with Son Goku, but now your reign of terror is over. Frieza burst into laughter. I see, you think you have what it takes to fight me. Furha, what's the brash child's power level? One of Frieza's henchmen clicked a button on a computer-like device on his ear, which emitted a series of beeps. Only 10, That's just sad. The minion laughed. The other soldiers and Frieza joined in. But their fun was cut short as all of the scouters exploded, shattering pieces of metal and glass everywhere. Everything went silent. Then, Frieza was sent flying forward and landed painfully on his face. He stood up and looked around. Who did that? He growled, looking around. Where is that pretentious little brat? That pretentious little brat uppercutted Frieza's jaw, skyrocketing him. Frieza, enraged, threw a punch right at the boy, but no good. He hit him right between the eyes, but he didn't feel a thing, much less pain. The man raised his only hand, which was soon surrounded by a glowing, silvery green jagged energy. He charged and gave a forceful chopping motion just as Frieza had done the same. A moment of silence followed in which both combatants were frozen on the spot. Then all of a sudden, Frieza gave a frightened gasp, and as the Z fighters observed the battle, they saw why. Frieza had been cut perfectly in half vertically. Each half of his face was frozen in shock. The man turned around and in a blast of blue energy, completely obliterated Galactic Tyrant, not leaving so much as a trace of blood. That's definitely not Goku, said Piccolo. Goku's fighting style normally isn't nearly that aggressive. A soft, enthusiastic clapping echoed throughout the silent canyon as the man sat back down on the ground. He turned to see another alien much like Frieza, only much larger, with a purple skin tone and two large bull-like horns protruding from his head. Very impressive, he said, walking toward the man, who just gave a low glare. No ordinary man can defeat my son. Tell me something, would you be interested in joining my federation? You will have control over hundreds, no, thousands of star systems, entire races under your command to do your every bidding. How can anyone not be interested in an offer such as this? The man simply said. Simple. I have no interest in working alongside a tyrant. I want to free this world from the likes of you. The alien simply laughed. I don't believe you know who I am. He stated powerfully. I am King Cold, ruler of the galaxy, and the most powerful being in the universe. Unless I'm mistaken, your son was saying the exact same thing. Said the man. Perhaps, but that spoiled brat has never truly known power. King Cold scoffed. Until I got rid of him. The stranger reminded him coolly. That reminds me. What weapon did you use to kill him? Asked Cold. Weapon. The man repeated, slightly confused. Yes, nobody has ever been able to defeat Frieza bare-handed, so you must have used some sort of weapon. Except me, said the man. Interesting, said Cold, a devious look on his face. He pointed a finger at the man and a narrow beam like a laser shot from it. The man dodged it effortlessly. What? I am impossible, Cold stuttered, absolutely flabbergasted. Nobody has ever dodged the death beam. Nobody. The man pointed his index and middle fingers together at Cold, shouted. Makenko Sapo. And two beams, one straight, the other spiraling around the first, shot Cold straight through Cold's heart, ending his life instantly. He then turned to Cold's and Frieza's ship and blasted it to smithereens, killing all of the foot soldiers and henchmen inside and around the ship. That was my technique. How does he know it? Piccolo gasped, absolutely flabbergasted. What the hell was that? Vegeta roared, stomping his way towards the mysterious stranger. How the hell did you manage to kill not only Frieza, but King Cold as well? Who are you? Calm down, Vegeta, said the man, a little exasperated. And not only that, but you can't even. Vegeta froze. Wait a second, how did you know my name? It was a simple mistake, but a possibly dangerous one. I'm sorry, I can't say, said the man, trying to seem calm. Anyways, if you guys are here to see Son Goku, he'll land right about there in just a few minutes. He pointed to a spot several yards away. How do you know that? Asked Gohan. I'm sorry, I can't tell you that, said the man. Who are you? Asked Yamcha. Again, I can't tell you. If Vegeta hated this person before, it was nothing compared to the frustrated hatred he felt right now. What's wrong with this bastard? Does he think he's so good he can't even tell us his own name? He thought. Well, it's going to be a while before Son shows up, so. The man pulled a capsule from his pocket, clicked it, set it on the ground, and it burst to reveal a mini fridge. Has Capsule Corp even produced any of these things? Bulma mused, more to herself than anyone. They all had a drinks from the mini fridge as they waited, asking the man questions about him and where he came from, all to very unsatisfactory answers. "Look, there he is," he said, pointing at the sky a while later. Everyone looked up excitedly, but saw nothing. All of a sudden, what seemed to be a meteor fell from the sky, dropping downward towards them. "Don't worry, it's not going to hit us," the man told them, seeing everyone panicking, ready to run away. Sure enough, the meteor smashed into the ground hard, creating a deep, massive crater where it landed. Everyone looked down into the crater to see a white pod sitting inside it, smoking somewhat from the atmospheric heat. "That's a Ginyu Force pod," said Vegeta, noticing the insignia on it. The hatch opened and a man with pointy black hair and an unusual outfit stepped out of the pod. "Hey everyone, I'm back," he said cheerfully, waving up at his friends. He jumped out of the hold to his friends who gave him a warm welcome, with hugs, greetings, and much laughter. He was back. Goku had returned. "Goku, it's good to see you back, old buddy," said Krillin. "But there's something that's been bugging me. How did you escape Namek? I thought Frieza's ship was busted." Everyone went silent. This was a story they all wanted to hear ever since they found out from Shenlong that he survived the destruction of planet Namek 2 years ago. "Yeah, it was," Goku explained. "I tried to use it escape, but it was so broken the most I could do was work the coffee machine, which would probably do some good if I actually drink coffee. Anyway, while it was falling to pieces like the rest of the planet, I saw another thing fall in too. One of the Ginyu Force's pods, right?" Vegeta intervened, smirking back at the crater. "Yup," Goku nodded, "and I was in a real hurry so I just let it take me anywhere but there. Eventually I ended up on this place called Yardrat, where the people there help heal my wounds. They even taught me this weird technique." "Instant transmission, right?" asked the mysterious stranger. Everyone whipped around to look at him. "Yeah, how'd you know?" asked Goku. He scratched his head. "Hey, who is this guy? I'd like to know that myself," said Krillin, "but he won't so much as tell us his name, let alone tell us how he seems to know everything." Son Goku, could I have a private word with you?" the stranger asked, gesturing to the opposite side of the crater. Sure, okay." They both flew to the other side. "I don't want us to be overheard because what I'm about to tell you is very important," the stranger stated. "If certain people know too much, especially most of them," he gestured at Gohan and the others, "it would be bad for the timeline." "Timeline," Goku repeated. "I come from a time about 13 years in the future. I know you can keep this secret, so I'm only trusting this knowledge to you for now. Exactly 3 years from today, the world will be terrorized by 2 androids, both far too powerful for you or any of the others to face. All but 2 of those people," he indicated Gohan and the others, "will be killed without effort by the androids." "Even me," said Goku, nervously. The stranger shook his head. "You never even had the chance to fight. In 1 year, you'll be killed by a deadly heart virus. Here, take this." He gave Goku a small vial filled with a dark green, semi-transparent liquid. "It's medicine," he explained. "This virus was incurable when you died from it, but there's a cure for it in my future. When the symptoms, extreme exhaustion, powerful heart and/or chest pain, show up, take every drop of that medicine." Goku looked confused at the medicine, then at the man who gave it to him. "Who are you? Why are you telling me all of this?" he asked. "I'm telling you so that when the androids come, when life as we know it is about to end once more, we'll have a fighting chance to stop it from ever happening," said the man. "And if you really must know who I am, and I must ask you not tell anyone else this, I am your son." Back on the other side of the crater, Vegeta was pacing impatiently. "What are they blabbering about over there?" he asked irritably. "Why is it that bastard's only telling Kakarot? I don't know, but he seems to know Goku really well." Krillin mused. "Did they meet in space on the way here or something?" Piccolo gasped, his eyes going very wide, his pointed ears twitched slightly. "So that's it. That's how he knew," he whispered. "What are you mumbling about, Namek?" Vegeta spat. "Nothing," Piccolo muttered in a would-be calm way. "My son," said Goku, confused, "but I only have one son, and he's right over there." He pointed at Gohan. I know, said the stranger, nodding in a friendly way to the long-haired boy, who looked back questioningly. I'm him. I am son Gohan 13 years from now. Goku's eyes went very wide, his mouth fell to his knees. WWWHHAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAA hurting Piccolo's sharp Namek ears. Well, future Gohan blinked. I can't say I was expecting that kind of reaction. You're really Gohan? Goku blurted, staring incredulously at the future incarnate of his son. Yes, future Gohan answered simply. That's just. Goku stuttered. Wow, wait until I tell Chi-Chi. She'd have a heart attack. I'd rather you not tell Mom about me, said future Gohan. I've damaged the timeline enough telling you all of this. I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. After I'm done here, I'm returning to my time to better understand the extent of the damage. Until then, I'm afraid I can't tell you any more about myself or the future. Look, 3 years from now on May 10th at around 11 a.m., the androids will attack a small island just southwest of South City. Go there and stop them before they become too powerful. Got it, said Goku. By the way, one more question, what happened to your arm? Future Gohan's expression sunk. It was an injury from fighting the androids. He answered gloomily. Want a Senzu bean? Goku offered. I'm sure that it'll regenerate if. No, thank you. Gohan interrupted him. This is a symbol of my failure. It would be an insult to the memory of Trunks and everyone else if I. Goku raised an eyebrow. Who's Trunks? He asked. He's the son of Bulma and, damn it, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, but I have to go before I do any more damage to the timeline. Will we be seeing you again? Future nodded. I'll be returning to my time to make sure I didn't do too much damage to the future. I'll be back to help your battle here when I'm done. Good luck, father. He flew off and disappeared behind the canyon wall. As he walked back to his friends, Goku saw a large ship, supposedly future Gohan's time machine, float slowly into the air and pass through a massive red glowing rift in the sky. When it had passed through the rift, it closed with a bright flash. So Goku, who was that guy? Asked Krillin tentatively. Goku explained everything he was told, taking great care not to tell them anything that would give away the stranger's identity. A time traveler. Whoa, like something out of those science fiction books, said Gohan, amazed, though Goku was sure he would be even more amazed if he knew that it was himself from the future. So when and where do we need to be there to kick these robotic bastards' asses? Asked Vegeta interestedly, pounding a fist into his hand. In 3 years at Goku paused. He told me, but I forgot. Vegeta gritted his teeth furiously, ready to strangle Goku. May 10th, about 11 a.m. on an island just southwest of South City. Piccolo spoke up, seeing Vegeta's reaction. Everyone stared at him. How did you know that? Asked Goku. My hearing is much sharper than yours. Piccolo answered simply. So you heard everything he told me, didn't you? Said Goku uneasily. Yes. Piccolo nodded. Don't worry, I won't say anything that would threaten his future. In any case, they don't show up for another 3 years, so I recommend we use that time very wisely. The only reason we were defeated so easily in that boy's future is because we were unprepared for the threat, but now we have 3 years to be ready for when that day comes. Sounds good to me. Vegeta smirked. He blasted off, tearing up everything in his path. See you guys later, said Tien as he and Chiaotzu left. See ya. Oh, and Bulma, take good care of the baby. Goku called as he and Gohan headed home. Yamcha jumped at this statement. Bulma, are you really? Bulma shook her head, looking up at Goku, very confused. Then she shrugged and laughed. You know, if anyone but Goku said that, I'd be really freaked out. She giggled. Yamcha didn't seem to think this was just an act of stupidity on Goku's part though. You're sure? Maybe I didn't. You know, on accident. Yamcha, when was the last time we did it? Asked Bulma hotly. Yamcha thought about this for a while. Never. He answered truthfully. Come on, it's Goku we're talking about, Bulma reminded him. He's always saying weird stuff like that. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yamcha chuckled. though he still wasn't sure. Meanwhile, future Gohan had returned to his own time. Hey, Bulma, I'm back, he called. Oh, good, so the time machine works properly, said Bulma, putting down her next little project. Gohan nodded. I just came back to see if this time hasn't been damaged by my interference on the past. No, the world's the same android invaded hellhole it always was. Bulma sighed. Hey, where are you going? To go visit my friends. Gohan answered plainly. This wasn't entirely true. He needed to be absolutely sure that the future wasn't made even worse because of his interference. He flew around the ruined city, taking in every detail to make sure that it was the same as the day he left. From the damage to the city, to the androids wreaking havoc on the streets, to the Z-Fighters' burial ground, nothing had changed. Good, Gohan said, giving a sigh of relief. He sat down at the burial site. After the death of his father, there wasn't enough time for him to be properly buried due to the android's attack, so after the death of Piccolo, Gohan made a burial site for both of them, a site that unfortunately would also be filled by Tenshinhan, Chiyozu, Yajirobe, Yamcha, Krillin, Vegeta, and now Trunks, their graves accompanied with a symbol of the respective occupants. Every time he got the chance, Gohan would come to this site to speak with his fallen comrades, and pray for his friend's aid. Well, this is it, he said. Today, I will change our future for the better, even if it kills me, I will make sure that I will never have to make this grave site again. Wish me luck, everyone. He bowed respectfully and left for the time machine. Well, anything different than you remember it? Asked Bulma. No, not a thing, said Gohan, and that eludes me. I made so many changes to the past. I killed Frieza and King Cold, I told Goku about the androids, I even let slip about Trunks, who wasn't even born yet. I think I may understand this whole time travel thing now, said Bulma thoughtfully. She wheeled out a chalkboard. This line here resembles our timeline, she explained, drawing a straight horizontal line along the center of the board. This is the time when the androids attacked. She made an XA bit to the left of the center. And this is the time you came out. She made a circle to the left of the X. When you went to this time and altered the course of events, you must have created a new timeline. She made a diagonal line from the circle and made another horizontal line parallel to the first. This alternate timeline is completely independent from the events of our timeline, so in other words, you may have changed the past, but you didn't even remotely change our past, nor our present. This took Gohan a minute to process, as I'm sure it'll take the readers to process as well. So long story short, you don't have to go anywhere, kiddo. No matter what you do in the timeline, it won't help us in the slightest. That's where you're wrong, said Gohan firmly. I may not have changed our past or present, but if I can help our friends in the past, then maybe, just maybe, I can do something to help change our future. Besides, it's too late to turn my back on them now. It'll be a grievous insult to our friends to give up on them now. Bulma smiled and shrugged. You're just like your dad, she sighed. The time machine's ready. After this next trip though, it'll take time to recharge. At least 3 months. It's okay. I don't expect our battle against the androids to finish overnight anyways, said Gohan, packing the things he required in the time machine and prepping it for launch. See you later, said Gohan as he took off. Good luck, kiddo, Bulma waved. Meanwhile in the present timeline, Goku was trying to convince Chi-Chi to let Gohan train with him. No, she was yelling. I don't care what it is, Gohan's studies are more important than the fate of the world, said Goku. Chi-Chi, don't be silly. If the world is thrown into chaos, what do his studies matter? Come on, Chi-Chi, listen to reason. This is important. Humanity is at stake here. Chi-Chi glared at Goku, who looked scared yet hoping she would see reason. She sighed. Okay, I'll let him fight just this once, but once this threat to the world has ended, no more interferences in his studies, got that? Goku nodded, smiling approvingly. Deal, he said, and you're getting a job, she added sharply, pointing a threatening finger at him. Goku would usually complain about this, but instead he sighed. Deal. So Dad, just who was that guy we saw earlier? asked Gohan that night while they bathed after a hard day's training. I mean, I know you told me he was a time traveler and all, but who was he? And how did he know you? Goku didn't want to lie to his own son, so he simply told him. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. 55 Chapter 3. The Prince of Saiyans once more. Damn it, damn it, damn it, Vegeta shouted furiously, as he tore up mountains and rocks in the middle of a deserted wasteland. He was so angry with the people he knew, the people he reluctantly called friends, the Namekian, who could outclass a monster in his second form that Vegeta himself couldn't handle in his first, that half-breed kid, who may be weaker than himself normally, but when angered or threatened, becomes more powerful than he could ever imagine, the boy's father Kakarot, that bastard Kakarot, who attained the Super Saiyan, a legendary transformation that's power exceeds the greatest in the universe. And worst of all, that son of a bitch, the mysterious stranger, who he only saw a few short months ago, completely destroyed Frieza and King Cold, two of the most powerful beings in the universe, not only single-handedly, but without even becoming a Super Saiyan. This is just intolerable. I'm the Prince of all Saiyans. There's no way I should ever be outclassed by some low-level, a half-breed, a Namek, or a kid who thinks he's too good to even give his own name. Vegeta roared, causing all the mountains to crumble and fall down upon him. He gave another furious roar, shattering the stone into tiny fragments and blasting them everywhere. He was half tempted to just destroy the entire earth right then and there. He certainly had the power to do that. He heard an odd rattling sound, and turned around to see a rattlesnake glaring madly at him, the rattle on the end of its tail shaking threateningly. You'll back off if you know what's good for you, Vegeta told the snake coolly. The snake ignored his words and struck. Fool, he said, firing an energy blast, obliterating the snake, and kicked up a lot of sand. He covered his eyes, trying to rub the sand out, and coughed as a lot of sand got in his mouth. Finally, his eyes had been cleared, and he was breathing properly. Unacceptable. How long must I endure this humiliation? Get over yourself, Vegeta. Your race is extinct, you're no prince. Not anymore. Vegeta whipped around and saw Piccolo approaching him, his long cape blowing in the wind. Are you trying to start a fight, Namek? Vegeta asked threateningly. It'd be a good way to train. Piccolo smirked. Though I suppose you're not a very good sparring partner. What good would it be to fight against a prince with no power? Shut up, Namek, Vegeta barked. What would you know about power? More than you, I think. At least I could stand a chance against Frieza at one point. If I recall, you never did. Piccolo tormented. You're hanging by a very thin thread, Namek. Vegeta growled. The green man just laughed mockingly. Vegeta charged and punched Piccolo hard across the face, then kneed him in the chest, and kicked him several feet away, and shot a powerful energy blast at him. When the dust from this rampage cleared, Piccolo simply smirked. All you managed to do was get my clothes ruined, but unlike you, that doesn't bother me. He taunted. What's that supposed to mean, Namek? Vegeta growled. Clothes make the prince, as they say on Earth. It may anger you if you get a little dust on your fancy clothes, but I couldn't care less. Piccolo tormented, throwing his ragged cloak and turban aside. You're dead, Namek, you're dead, Vegeta roared. He held out a hand, and a ball of blue energy built up in it. Piccolo outstretched both hands and a yellow blast shot from them as he shouted. Masenko. Just as the ball in Vegeta's hand was thrown and he yelled. Big Bang attack. The ball collided with the beam, and both sides struggled to push their blast past the others. Finally, Vegeta gave an almighty roar that shook the landscape, and the blue ball powered through the Namekian's attack and hit him head-on. Vegeta grinned triumphantly, but raised a confused eyebrow as the dust cleared. Where there should have been some remnant of Piccolo, there was nothing. Not even his ruined cape or turban were anywhere to be found. Vegeta couldn't even sense his energy anywhere nearby. That was strange. Vegeta thought to himself. I could have sworn. What? Yo, Vegeta, what are ya doing here? Kakarot, what do you want? Vegeta scoffed. I just came to have a little match with you. You don't have to be rude, said Goku innocently. Yeah, just like the Namek a few minutes ago. Vegeta spat irritably. Piccolo was here. Wow, you must be really popular today, Vegeta. Goku laughed. He gave a grunt and a powerful golden aura surrounded him. His hair stood on end and became the same color as his aura, and his eyes became blue-green. "Come on Vegeta, you turned Super Saiyan too," he said enthusiastically. A vein pulsed in Vegeta's temple. "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You can't do that yet. Why is everyone coming here to mock me?" Vegeta grumbled furiously. "Just DIIEEEE." He obliterated Goku in a single frustrated explosion. "Take that, Kakarot. I don't need to be a Super Saiyan to get rid of scum like you." He panted manically. He whipped around, fire blazing in his eyes. "All right, who's next?" he shouted. He gritted his teeth angrily as he saw who his next taunter was. "Oh, great, you." It was the mysterious stranger who had literally single-handedly killed Frieza and King Cold. "Vegeta, I just came to make sure you're ready for the androids," he said. "Oh, shut up, you're just here to mock me for being weak, just like the Namek and Kakarot." Vegeta spat. Big Bang attack. The man dodged the attack and kicked Vegeta square in the jaw. Vegeta growled angrily and aimed a punch at the man, but he blocked with his hand. Vegeta smirked. His hand, is full. Nothing left to block with, he thought. He launched a second punch with his free hand, but the man kicked his fist upward, and then made another kick with the opposite foot, knocking Vegeta to the ground. He stomped hard on Vegeta's chest. "You underestimated me because I only had one arm. Be lucky that you have that luxury," said the man firmly. "In the future I live in, making assumptions like that can be fatal. It's the reason my time is the hell it is, the reason I lost my arm in the first place." He kicked Vegeta onto his side. Vegeta knew full well that the man wasn't trying to attack or fight him, but to demean and humiliate. "I am the prince." "What? I am the prince of all Saiyans." Vegeta cried out. In an explosive surge of power, Vegeta sent the man flying for miles and destroyed everything else within 10 meters. He stood up, a murderous look in his eyes. "And nobody humiliates me like that. Nobody." The man ran up to him, trying to launch an attack, but too late. Vegeta batted him off, grabbed him by the arm, and threw him high into the air. He shot up into the sky after him and caught the man by the ankle. Then he plummeted down towards the earth, picking up speed all the while. Finally, he threw the man forward, smashing him brutally into the ground and forming a massive earthquake and an equally massive crater where his opponent crashed. "No, I am a prince no more. I am king. The king of all Saiyans," Vegeta yelled. Suddenly, he was surrounded by a mass of energy like fire. His hair, once jet black, was now bright gold, and his eyes, not a blue-green like normal Super Saiyan eyes, but bright red. "Vegeta, you did it." The man panted proudly. Vegeta swiftly pointed 2 fingers straight upward and the man, along with everything in a mile radius, was completely annihilated. "At last, I have ascended," Vegeta said proudly, his voice a bit hoarse. He powered down as he fell unconscious and collapsed on the ground. What? Where am I?" Vegeta awoke to find himself in the same barren, desert wasteland he had spent most of his life on Earth living in, but the sandy plains were smooth and untouched, the mountains were completely intact, and nothing, as far as Vegeta could see, was different from how it was the day before his feral rampage. It seemed to be nothing more than a dream. "So I never became a Super Saiyan," he fumed. He punched the mountain in frustration, but as he did so, he inadvertently transformed into the form he coveted among all else, though his eyes were the normal Super Saiyan blue-green instead of red. He grinned regardless. "I am the prince of all Saiyans once more." 55 Chapter 4, The Androids. It was a normal day at the Sun residence, or as normal as things get when the man of the house is an alien super warrior. Goku, Gohan, and Piccolo were doing their typical three-way spar in preparation for the android attack that would occur in about a year, when suddenly, Gohan made a brutal kick that connected with his father's chest. He fell to the ground, moaning with pain, his hands tightly clenched over his heart. "I'm sorry Dad, I didn't mean to hit that hard," Gohan apologized. "Gohan, get the medicine. Quickly." Goku breathed weakly. Gohan gasped. "What's going on?" Piccolo asked, landing softly on the ground next to Gohan. "It's Dad, he's ill," Gohan said urgently. He lifted his father onto his shoulder and hauled him to his bed. Then he hurriedly searched through his things, searching for the medicine. After finding it in a small box in a drawer, he unscrewed the small bottle and poured the dark green liquid into Goku's mouth. He sputtered on it at first, but then swallowed it, and shortly after, fell asleep. Gohan gave a sigh of relief. Crisis averted, Mr. Piccolo. He called. Just then, the phone rang. Gohan, you there? We've got a problem, a big problem. It was Krillin again. What's wrong, Krillin? Gohan asked. Listen to this. Krillin held the phone up to a radio, which blared. Colibri Island was completely decimated by the collapse of the Subra space station. For those of you who don't know, the Subra space station was a research station that had been sent into space just 3 days ago. The cause of the station's destruction is unknown, however, many eyewitnesses state that 2 odd-looking people, one a teenage boy with spiky hair and a long coat, the other a girl the same age with white hair and mismatched eyes. These suspected troublemakers have been spotted near the station immediately after its destruction. Both of these people have been seen to wear an emblem resembling that of the long-disbanded Red Ribbon Army, and are the prime suspects for the station's destruction. Investigators speculate. Did you catch all that, Gohan? Krillin asked. Yeah, it has to be them, said Gohan. But how? Didn't the time traveler guy say they wouldn't attack until a year from now? Said Krillin. I don't get it any more than you do, but we have to stop them right away. Gohan stated. See you soon. He hung up the phone and took out the sword that he used during his training with Piccolo, and changed out of his casual clothes and into the ragged orange outfit Piccolo had given him during their training. No rest for the weary, he muttered as he ran out the door. Gohan, what's going on? Piccolo asked. It's the androids. They've attacked some island to the far northeast, said Gohan. That's 3 inaccuracies that boys made, said Piccolo darkly. What do you mean, Mr. Piccolo? Gohan asked. First, he said that Goku's illness would appear 6 months after his warning. Piccolo explained, holding up one finger. That didn't happen until right now, 6 months after the given time. He held up a second finger. He also said the androids would attack 3 years after he left. They're attacking right now, 1 year before the given time. He held up a third finger. And he said they would begin their rampage to the southwest of South City. They attacked to the northeast of North City. I don't think we can trust this man. He may even be the one behind the android attack in the first place. That can't be right. If he was, why would he even tell us the android attack would happen? If he really was against us, he never would have even shown his face to us, right? Gohan reasoned. Whatever the case may be, now, when the world is in peril, is definitely not the time to discuss it, said Piccolo firmly. We need to move fast. And with that, he and Gohan took off for North City. Hey, Gohan, where's your dad? Krillin asked once they sat down in the outskirts of North City. He couldn't make it, said Gohan. He's too sick to even move right now. And just at the worst possible time, too. Yamcha grumbled. Where are the androids? Piccolo asked. No idea, I can't find them anywhere, and I can't sense their energy anywhere. Krillin shrugged. Everyone jumped as all of a sudden, about 20 explosions went off in the nearby city all at once. Damn it, no, Bulma's down there. Yamcha took off, flying at incredible speed with fire in his eyes. He rocketed through the ever-ruining city until he saw a man in red Chinese garb, laughing at the top of his lungs as he destroyed building after building. Yamcha, using his powerful momentum, launched his fist straight into the man's face, knocking him to the ground. This isn't funny, you bastard! Yamcha roared furiously. He hopped back and charged up the Kamehameha, but the man stood back up, removed his left arm, and began to charge a cannon that was hidden behind the hand. Ha! Yamcha screamed as an immense blue blast burst from his hands, just as the cannon fired a blast of golden energy. The 2 attacks made contact, the sinister man having a slight advantage over Yamcha. Yamcha roared very loudly and forced the blast back with all of his might. Slowly but surely, his Kamehameha pushed itself further and further towards his opponent, who looked panic-stricken as he tried fruitlessly to stave off the attack. As though a shaken bottle was uncorked, Yamcha's already enormous beam of energy burst powerfully, obliterating the android and much of the remains of the already ragged city. Yamcha panted, totally exhausted from the intense clash. He chuckled weakly. I did it. I won. He breathed hoarsely. Not bad, but I was expecting a little more from somebody who can honestly push back a Chododan-Pa. Yamcha gasped. The android stepped out from the dust. Though his traditional Chinese clothing was damaged and frayed, he didn't seem even remotely injured. Chododan-Pa, Yamcha repeated. He had heard that name before. Wait, are you? No. You can't be. You're Dao. Tenshinhan finished as he landed next to Yamcha. Do you recall what I told you at the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai? If I ever see your cowardly face again, you'll kill me. Spare me, traitor. You may have shamed me that day, but that was before I met my new master, and before I was reborn. Dao stated powerfully. I wanted a body that could give me absolute power, the power to destroy you, the power to destroy all. And as luck would have it, one man, one sinisterly brilliant man, had the ability to give me that power. Dr. Gero. The good doctor restored what I had lost at the hands of that Son Goku brat. Sure enough, Tien and Yamcha noticed that Tao's body, which had previously been terribly mangled, was back to its original state, save the front of his torso, which was slightly visible through his tattered clothing, and bore a large metal plate across it with a small red emblem with 2 letter R's, and his left eye, which had what seemed to be a blue lens over the front of it. And gave me a new body, one that is unmatched in heaven and earth. I am no longer the shameful mercenary Dao. I am the mighty android 22. Tien and Yamcha noticed that some sort of writing or symbols were flashing and running across Tao's blue eye. 44,450. 45,080. What a joke. How could such a small power level push through one of my attacks? Dao barked with laughter. He removed his left hand again, pointed the concealed cannon at them, and simply said, Die, before firing blast after blast at Yamcha and Tien. Gohan, stay close, Piccolo instructed as they searched the city. Gohan simply nodded. A sudden explosion tore down a skyscraper, which crashed on top of Piccolo, and something grabbed Gohan from behind and pulled him away from Piccolo. He was thrown against a fallen traffic light, and he was greeted by an arrogant-looking teenage boy with spiky black hair and a long black coat with a high collar. So, you think you're actually fit to wield a sword, kid? He spat, drawing a long katana and pointing it at Gohan. Gohan made to turn away from him, but he was pushed back by a girl with long, snow-white hair. Act like a man, boy, she told him teasingly. Gohan couldn't help but blush at the sight of this girl, even though he knew full well she was evil. She looked very pretty. Her young face was almost flawless and her eyes, although differently colored, were almost hypnotically beautiful, the left eye deep blue, the right emerald green. Reluctantly, Gohan drew his sword and just in time blocked the boy's sudden strike. He struck at him, but the boy edged to the side easily and kicked Gohan in the back. Then he charged, his katana raised, but just as he was about to strike down the defenseless kid, a hand reached out and stopped the sword in its tracks. Do you think it makes you look strong to dominate over a child? It was the mysterious stranger. He was glowering at the boy, easily blocking his sword with his only hand. His glare was soon replaced with a look of confusion. Wait, you're the androids, he said, puzzled. Yeah, said the white-haired girl, stepping forward. I'm Android 20. And I'm Android 21. The boy with the sword added. You're not the ones. The stranger muttered, still clearly very confused. And the time of the attack? It was 1 year off from the actual time. I don't understand. Is this the result of my time interference? Hey, Android 21 piped up. I don't know what it is you're mumbling to yourself about over there, but it's pretty rude to interrupt our fight like that. He pointed his katana at him. If you want to fight, one arm, you're going to have to wait your turn. I'll take him off your hands, 21. Said 20. She stood exactly 10 paces away from the stranger, bowed, urged the stranger to do the same, and then, once they had both taken their stances, she leapt at him, ready to strike. Masenko, the stranger yelled, holding his only hand out and firing a yellow energy blast at her, but rather than knocking her back, he was the one sent flying backward into a ruined building. What was that? He asked himself. She flew at him and aimed a punch at his chest, but he blocked with his hand. She aimed a second punch with her free hand, but much to her surprise, he blocked it with a kick. She attempted a kick at him, but he blocked with his other foot. Big mistake. Your hand and feet are tied, 20 shouted triumphantly. She aimed yet another kick at his head with her free leg, but much to her shock, he blocked that one too, or rather caught between his chest and chin. All tied up, 20. He said, still holding her. He dived straight to the ground, with her underneath him. He pushed her hard, and before she hit the ground, he pointed his middle and index fingers at her and shouted, Makenkosapo. And the thin, spiraling double beam shot from the fingertips, but much to his utter shock, the attack impaled not her, but him. Badly hurt, he fell to the ground very hard with a nasty sounding thud. It been fun Scarface, said 20 teasingly. But I have to go now. Later, she planted a small kiss on his cheek, causing him to blush a fine shade of red, giggled at his surprised face, and took off. You're good, kid, even though you're not an android, you can really fight. 21 said, quite impressed with Gohan's swordsmanship skills. Gohan pulled an obscure trick in which he twists his blade around 21's, and sent the Japanese sword flying out of his hands. He then struck with all his might at 21's chest. The blade made contact, but much to the surprise of both Gohan and 21, he was completely unharmed. Really, you're strong enough to best me in a sword fight, clever enough to disarm me, but too weak to even hurt me. With a blade, no less. 21 laughed, feeling stupid for being concerned about losing to the child. He kicked his sword back into his hand and sheathed it, walking away. Hey, where are you going? We didn't finish. Gohan called to him. He then felt like hitting himself. Why would he want to continue fighting someone who could easily kick the tar out of him? Yes, we are done, 21 stated, not even breaking his stride or looking back. I'm not interested in fighting someone so weak. I only continued fighting you because I thought you were a challenge. Gohan looked confusedly at the android's back, of which whose coat bore the double R emblem of the Red Ribbon Army. I guess I should go look for Mr. Piccolo then, he said to himself, leaving the vicinity. Help, please help. Piccolo turned to see two very small children trapped under a pile of rubble, crying in pain and fear. The falling skyscraper, as he well knew, wouldn't hurt him even remotely, but it would certainly and painfully kill these kids. He tried to free them from the rubble, but it was too late. With a deafening crash, the building fell on all of them. Piccolo's face sunk at the thought of the children, but then, he heard the sound of tearing metal and glass. He rose in the air slightly, and to his utter bewilderment, an enormous man, at least 10 feet tall, was pushing his way through the wreckage, both children tucked safely under his massive arms. When he was free of the wreckage, the man set the children down carefully, and asked in a low and heavy, yet gentle voice. Are you all right? The children looked up, scared and surprised. One of them, a girl with curly brown hair, nodded shakily as she stared up at the gentle giant, who looked around, his expression full of sorrow. Do you know where your parents are? He asked. They're gone. They're both dead. The other child, a boy with messy black hair, choked as he and his sister sobbed loudly. The giant man's face looked even more remorseful. I am sorry to hear that, he muttered. I can take you to a place where you can be safe. He picked both of the kids up in one hand and walked away. A barrage of blasts hit the giant man head on. What are you doing, 19? The giant man asked. It is our orders. All humans must die, said a high, metallic voice. A rather fat man with chalk-white skin was glaring robotically at the giant man, who was twice his own size. They are only innocent children. They do not deserve to die, said the giant. You are disobeying orders, Android 24. You are defective. You must be terminated, 19 stated, as though programmed to say so. And since he was an android, Piccolo thought, he probably was. 19 shot many small key blasts from its fingertips, not at 24, but at the children in his arm. Piccolo jumped in front and took the shots for him. The shots stung, but not too badly. 19 clearly had no intention of hitting 24. Data logs indicate that you are Piccolo, said 19. Power level 1153 GP, 4th strongest fighter in Drive Garrow's databanks. Probability of defeating, 85.3%. Piccolo stared blankly at the android. Was this toy really what destroyed us? He thought, unable to see how this machine could pose such a threat as mass genocide on the Z fighters, as well as the human race. Known abilities include Masenko, Makenko-Sapo, Multi-Form, and at least 3 other techniques. Probability of defeating, 93.7%. Masenko. Piccolo roared, firing the yellow beam straight at the android, who seemed unworried about the beam and held out a hand, which seemed to suck the beam right into it. Piccolo flinched. He had never seen an opponent who could do something like this before. 19 lowered its outstretched hand, raised its opposite hand, and fired the Masenko right back at him. Piccolo's shoulder got burned painfully as he dodged. 24. You must attack the target. 19 droned. I cannot. I have not been programmed to fight. Only to defend. Said 24 simply. I have no need to assist you in this battle. I must protect these children. Then you will be destroyed. As his prized creation, Dr. Gero has programmed me with the detonation codes for all of his lesser androids. 19 stated irritably. Though a hint of anger lingered in his voice, it still sounded like a recorded, pre-programmed voice. Detonation for Cybernetics Project Jinzo Ninjin Experiment Number 24 initiated. Destruction code input, 758-8523528-73504107-23. Piccolo fired a second Masenko, this time from behind 19, who paused, turned, and sucked the attack into his hands like last time. 19 apparently gave up on 24, because he charged at Piccolo. Its punches were much more powerful than Piccolo thought, but its movements had very noticeable patterns. I think I've found your weakness, android. Piccolo grunted, after taking a blow to the face. I have no weaknesses. I have been programmed for perfection. Nothing less. Said 19. Probability of defeating target, 100%. 19 hit Piccolo head-on, but this time grabbed him tightly in one hand by the chest. Piccolo could feel his energy being drained as 19 grinned in a sinister yet very fake way. Piccolo jabbed 2 fingers, which glowed with silvery green energy, into the hand holding him. 19 let go almost immediately, holding his injured hand precariously. A great quantity of oil was spurting out of the hole Piccolo made. What's the matter? Piccolo asked in a gruff, mocking voice. Are you telling me that a machine of absolute perfection can feel pain? Databank error. There is no data on the ability used. 19 droned. Make that 3 of your weaknesses. Piccolo corrected himself. What do you mean? 19 asked, a note of mechanical annoyance. First, you rely entirely on probability and what your databank tells you. Piccolo explained. Second, you claim to be perfect, but you were programmed by someone who obviously knows nothing about fighting. Your technique is riddled with openings. The only reason you've managed to get a single hit on me was because I wanted to understand your technique, to see just what we're up against. And third, it may be true that you can absorb energy through your hands, but without that single ability, you can't stand a chance in battle. You probably even absorbed energy from some of the civilians to put up a good show. Piccolo concentrated a copious amount of energy into his fist, which glowed silvery green, and then charged full force at 19, who also charged at Piccolo. Piccolo's energy-filled fist didn't hit 19 in the head or chest, but swiped across, severing both of its hands. More oil burst from the stumps where its hands once were. Data indicates probability of survival, 0%, 19 said weakly. In a single blast, Piccolo obliterated 19, its pieces shattering everywhere, its head clattering to the ground. Piccolo turned around to see that the giant man called 24 was gone, along with the 2 children. I don't know if it's good or bad that he got away. Piccolo said to himself. Hey, Mr. Piccolo, Gohan called as he landed near Piccolo. Are you okay, Gohan? Piccolo asked, seeing the damages done to his clothing. I'm fine. Gohan nodded, but I ran into the androids and the time traveler guy got banged up pretty bad. The androids? Piccolo repeated, but I fought and destroyed one of them just now. Which one? The boy with the sword or the pretty girl with heterochromia? Gohan asked. For those of you who don't know, Heterochromia is a rare case when the eyes are differently colored. Neither, said Piccolo blankly. It was a fat one with pale skin, who called itself 19, and a giant who goes by 24. 19, 24, but the ones I met were 20 and 21, said Gohan, now just as confused as Piccolo. That's another inaccuracy that our mysterious friend has made. Piccolo grumbled. Alright, now what does a Saiyan have to do to find a damn android whose ass he can kick? Vegeta said irritably to himself. He had been searching the Ragged City for the androids for hours, just itching to demonstrate his power. He found his fight as a mangled car was thrown at him. It didn't make him budge whatsoever. He turned to see who threw it and saw a rather familiar-looking man. He had black hair firmly standing on end, just like Vegeta's, and a beard. He wore red armor with the Saiyan Imperial crest, a gold ring around his right arm, and a long, flowing dark blue cape lined with red and the Red Ribbon Army R emblem on the back. He was almost exactly as Vegeta remembered him. Son, King Vegeta said blankly, staring in surprise at his son, who grinned broadly, then he started to chuckle malevolently. Well, I'm surprised. My father, an android, Vegeta scoffed. His chuckle turned into a violently loud guffaw. This is just too perfect. The king of all Saiyans reborn. And here he stands before me. I could ask for nothing more. What happened to your tail? King Vegeta asked with a scowl. It was severed in a manner most humiliating. Vegeta growled, truly embarrassed at the removal of his tail by a fat kid with a sword, whose name he didn't even know. I've been truly shamed these past few years. Vegeta stated sharply. I've been insulted and demeaned by Frieza, a coward who deserves no place for power, outclassed by a low-level warrior and his half-breed son, lost my tail at the hands of a worthless fatass, torn to bits by piece after piece of garbage that dare call themselves warriors. But it all ends here. I, the Prince of Saiyans, will kill you here and now and claim all that is rightfully mine. You dare defy your father. King Vegeta barked. Your reign has ended years ago. Vegeta growled. Mine has just begun. King Vegeta snorted arrogantly at this statement, nailed Vegeta in the chest with a thin violet beam. He laughed. You are no king. You have always been, and now always will be, nothing more than a prince. Second best. Reigning alongside another. I am Android 23, the true king. I am now immortal and more powerful than ever before. He noticed Vegeta, staggering, trying to stand back upright, shaking. Pathetic. 23 jeered. After all the talk of being the new Saiyan king and you're immobile after only one hit. 23 saw that Vegeta wasn't shuddering or crying, but laughing. So that was the mighty King Vegeta, the one Stee's execution beam. Vegeta smirked as he stood up. It's a bit more powerful than I thought, but was that really the power you ruled the Saiyan race with for all those years? Laughable, he roared. He then powered up, his hair turning bright gold, his eyes light green. Now let me show you the power of a true king. Vegeta vanished, and then reappeared in a golden flash, hitting 23 everywhere he could reach, punching holes in his armor, even tearing off his cape, ripping the R emblem off, and draping it around himself. Take this, my final attack, Vegeta roared. He raised his right arm high into the air. Bright gold energy like lightning sizzled in his hand. He crushed the lightning in his fist, pounded it against his heart, and he seemingly exploded. When the dust cleared, where Vegeta once stood, there was instead a gigantic man made of swirling golden ki energy, like lightning, with a red cape like fire. The gargantuan looked like a faceless Vegeta, his hair like dark fire. This is the true power of a Saiyan king. He boomed loudly. Every one of the Z fighters turned and saw the massive lightning being that was once Vegeta. What is that thing? Krillin asked, thunderstruck. It almost looks like Vegeta, said Gohan, noticing the shape of the body. But how? Said Piccolo. That power is unreal. I must say, I'm impressed. Android 23 said, looking up at the sparking giant. I've never known anyone, Saiyan or otherwise, to possess power so immense. A loud, mighty laugh rang throughout the ruins of the city. You have yet to truly witness my power, Vegeta the First. Vegeta boomed, stomping a tremendous foot to the ground, creating a massive earthquake, which unbalanced 23, but he leapt into the air before he fell into submission. But Vegeta was ahead of him. He clapped 23 between his hands, which rang on a supersonic level, ruining the city even further and painfully hurting the ears of everyone left in the area, especially 23's, who had blood flowing out of his. Vegeta swatted 23 into the ground, making a 20-meter wide crater and rendering him unconscious. True King's Fist, and Vegeta slamming his fist into the crater, causing another earthquake and making the whole 23 lay in far deeper. I told you before, I am the only one fit to be the king of all Saiyans. Vegeta pulled his enormous golden fist from the ground, but to his surprise, 23 wasn't there. The impact was powerful, sure, but there would have to have been something left of 23, a corpse at the very least, but there was nothing, not even a drip of blood or oil, or a scrap of his clothing. That cowardly bastard, he got away, he thought. The lightning-like giant dissipated, leaving only Vegeta where the face would have been. He looked around, searching for the cowardly king. Where is he? He grumbled angrily. He knew for a while now how to sense energy without the use of a scouter, and this skill was yet to be fine-tuned like Krillin, Piccolo, or Gohan, but he couldn't even feel 23's energy, let alone see him at his current high altitude. He then saw something white shining a long ways away. He squinted and tried to get a closer look, and he saw a teenage girl with snow-white hair hauling 23 over her shoulder. He was pretty badly beat up, he was covered in blood and bruises and his armor torn up in most places. In the girl's other hand, she was carrying something white the size of a melon under her arm. No, you don't, Vegeta roared, rocketing to the ground, forming a hole where he crashed as he landed in front of the girl, whose eyes were mismatched, one deep blue, the other emerald green. Where do you think you're going? He snarled at her. The girl turned and ran from Vegeta, but he was faster. He shot right in front of her and punched her hard in the face, causing her to drop 19's head. A blade was slid out of its sheath and placed at Vegeta's throat. Didn't your parents ever teach you not to hit a girl? Said a boy with spiky hair and a long coat. 21. Take 23 and get out of here, said 20. Not a chance. 21 stated boldly. If someone threatens androids, then I must be there to protect them. He swiped at Vegeta, who ducked effortlessly and threw a small key shot at him, then elbowed him in the face. Go, 20, get them out of here, 21 ordered. Vegeta approached 20 as though ready to strangle her. You two are of no interest to me, he said coldly. The only one I care about killing is in the bearded bastard you call 23. Leave him and maybe I'll spare your pathetic lives. That won't happen, said a voice from behind Vegeta. He turned to see two men, one in a ragged Chinese garb and the other at least 10 feet tall with a remorseful look on his face. Well, we have ourselves quite the freak show now, don't we? Vegeta smirked. The giant 24 looked horror-struck at 20, who was still carrying 23 and 19's head. 24, get them out of here, 20 called, tossing 19's head over to him. Vegeta shot a beam at the airborne head, but 21 cut it with his sword and made another slash at Vegeta, which made a small cut across his cheek. Vegeta wiped the blood from the narrow cut, and then glared up at the boy who made it. 21 struck downward at him, but Vegeta caught the blade between two fingers and snapped the blade in two. All of the androids stared in shock at this. Impossible. No one, nothing, has ever once even scratched 21's blade before, 20 breathed. He's nothing more than a nuisance. 22 scoffed, disconnecting his left hand and firing the cannon concealed in the forearm. The blast barely hurt Vegeta, who didn't even try to avoid the attack. 20 laid 23's body down carefully, then charged blindly at Vegeta, smashed her fists together when she was inches away from him, and punched him with her right hand, which sparked with green electricity. Then she punched with the left hand, which sparked with similar blue energy. 24 stood in front of the other androids, thrust both his hands out to his sides, and a shield surrounded him and the others, which protected them from the massive explosion that followed. Run! Piccolo roared as the blast drew closer to them. They flew away from the ruins without wasting any time, only just barely making it out in time. Is everyone okay? Tien asked, panting. Where's Yamcha? Said Krillin. I'm here, panted a very worn Yamcha, who was carrying someone in his arms. Are you okay, Bulma? He asked her. Bulma, Are you okay? Answer me. She's all right, said Gohan. I think she's just unconscious. Yamcha reached down and felt Bulma's stomach and gave a sigh of relief. Good. The baby's safe too, he said. Baby. Gohan repeated. When did Bulma have a baby? It was only a few months ago, said Yamcha, sounding resentful. But it's not mine. Some son of a bitch. He broke into sobs. Look at that. There's nothing left of it now, said Piccolo, indicating where the city used to be. He was quite right. Where there used to be a thriving city, now there was nothing. No life, nothing to even break the smooth, flat texture of the burnt, gray earth. We need to get somewhere safe, he stated. When he regains consciousness, he indicated the scarred, one-armed man Gohan was carrying. I have a few questions I have to ask him. He said these words with anger and distrust. Come on, we don't have much time. And with that, they left the ghost flat, in search of safe ground. That's impossible. Nothing could possibly endure all of that. 20 breathed. It's impossible for anything to survive that. Sure enough, Vegeta stood unfazed by any of the android attacks. Just what the hell are you? 21 yelled. Vegeta laughed. You should already know, he stated. I am Vegeta, pure-blooded Super Saiyan, an heir to royalty, destined to rule the universe. My ruthless fighting skills are feared by all. I'm taking all comers, and right now, there's nothing I can't do. To be continued. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.